All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Saturday, August the 12th, 2017, and this is a Saturday morning webinar, and the title is Using Stealth, Lightning, and Predictor Trades, and we're also going to talk about region trades today. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we might have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, I don't see any, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and show you a different chart than we've traded before, and it's not really so much just to show a different chart. I saw Charles's webinar from Thursday, and he talked about trading 6J, I believe it was. So I went ahead and put it on chart this morning, bopped it over to the 10th, which is when he was doing his webinar, and I want to show you how to trade that with the actual tools, because that's what this webinar is about, is trading with the tools. Okay, so let's go ahead and show the chart. You should be able to see it. Now, what I personally like to look for, first off, is if I get in a trade, let's say this is, you can tell this is sideways now. See, you've got a rose-colored mid-band. You could look at your overall trend, and it's pretty much up, you know, your overall trend. I'm talking about the major trend. And you also do have lightning heading up so far, but it's broken this little swing here so far too. So basically, you know, you're kind of in a middle of a range, so to speak, right? So what we're looking at is we're looking at like these predictor trades. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a predictor trade here. So we're going to do the top of the predictor is the T button and the bottom is the B button. So I'm going to do a predictor trade, and let's just do a touch plus 2. Let's see if we can get a little trade. I don't know if we will or not, but we'll find out. Now keep in mind that if this does break that line that I've got drawn, then we're more than likely going to, you know, head down. Notice that our lines with the HZ line doesn't actually work on 6J. That's because 6J has so many digits afterwards. I'll have the programmer fix that. It's not a real big fix, obviously. You just have to change from, you know, 4 digits to 6 or 9 or whatever. Okay, so does everybody know how to use the predictor trader, by the way? Because, well, we're not doing predictor, we're doing, there we go, now we're doing predictor. Predictor trader is actually these little ellipses like this, and what we're looking at is either a touch of the ellipse and a bounce off of it. You can actually just have it where it even gets within X ticks of it and everything. It's a really cool little tool that we've designed here. There's your little trade right there. Now I would probably instantly put my stop just under that swing. Okay, but I wouldn't reverse it. And the reason for that is because if this was to actually take out this swing, what would we as traders want it to do? We'd want it to thrust down, we'd want it to retrace, and then we would want to take it, right? That's if we break down. If we break up, obviously, you know, we're going to be looking this direction. Now we're feeling a little bit of heat on it, okay, but we got our stop in, so let's just see what we get. Okay, now the only time that you really want to take one of these sideways type trades is look at your, you know, for instance, your resistance area and even your support area, okay? That's where your stop's going to need to be, right? But this is going to easily give me, if this actually comes up to at least here or here, we're going to get a little scalp. So that's the type of trade that you want to be looking for, you know, anytime you're in a range, okay? And you're always wanting to fade these tops. For instance, this has already hit this one twice, so, you know, it may just blow through it. We'll find out. But it could also hit its head and roll over again and test, you know, just like they do when they're in a range. Okay, does everybody know how to turn predictor on? Because the way you do it is the way I just did it. You just simply put it to predictor. You turn on long or short or both, as far as that goes. For instance, if this would have broken through the bottom of the predictor, I could have shorted it if I wanted to. Okay. But if you're wanting to actually get like a little bounce trade at midband, which we do quite often, then you would want to use your long above the predictor. And it did pop up above it. It's testing it again. So, we may get stopped on this one. We'll find out. If we do, we do. We'll just let it play and see what it does. Okay? And we're going to talk today also about using stealth. We're going to talk today about using the lightning type trade. And we're going to talk about using, of course, this predictor trade. And also the region trade, too. Now, the region trade, personally, when I like to use regions, is at the open of the market or in a trend. For instance, if you're really thrusting up, pulling back, thrusting up, pulling back, those are great boxes like that, okay? But if you're sideways, in a range, you got to be careful doing these big old breakout boxes, okay? Because, this may be a little more aggressive. Notice that we felt a little heat, but only about 4 ticks so far, okay? And it looks like they might go ahead and try to hit it back up. We'll find out. And by the way, if you're sideways like we are now, if you happen to get another white predictor, well, let's just do something here. We'll just try this and see. I'm going to bring my targets way out of the way for right now. I'm not saying to trade this particular way, but I want to show you if this gets a white predictor again, and it will get a white predictor as long as this is rose color. You can actually even flip this trade if you want, okay, when it's sideways. And what I do normally, if you do something like that, just watch the P&L, because, for instance, if this was to decide to just pop up and go right through our white ellipse, then we want to be real careful with it, okay? Let's see, just a second. All you had to do is pick which indicator would you use if you had to pick one. You mean on the object types, James, on your question? I like actually just picking the one that overall works. Well, basically, when you're like around mid-band and you're heading up like we have been so far anyway, I like the predictors real well. Now keep in mind, if you turned on required trend, this would never fire. Okay, because let's say that I wanted a long predictor, but I turn on auto and I turn on required trend. Well, it'll turn it off because this is actually mid-band is a different color. Yeah, it's more counter trend. But keep in mind that when you've got to also look at your charts too, and see what direction the overall is, even when they're in chop, because when they hit supports, they'll bounce. When they hit resistance, they'll pull back, that type of thing. And until they break out of this, now the safest trade you could possibly have, rather than the one I just took, is if it breaks here, comes back and kisses. Because then it's breaking out of this big channel, right? Like let's say that you got up and you saw this and you go, whoa, wait a minute, this is a pretty good sized channel, and I got up in the middle of it, so I really wanted it down here where support was, but I wasn't around. Well, then what you have to do is you either have to decide you want to do this mid-band type trade with predictors or lightning, okay? And if you want to, in a range, even go the opposite direction if they happen to hit these predictors, and see if you can get even an opposite one, because when they're sideways, you certainly can do that too. Now, the way you would do that, let's just say that we wanted to take this trade right here. This is where the predictor is right now. To take this as a reversal trade, I would just simply have to turn this on. And let's say that we want to at least, let's see, we want to at least touch inside it. Let's just do that. Let's touch inside it at least before we flip it. Okay, let's see if we can get something there. Now keep in mind that this is just a really, really good way to use this when things are sideways. But they don't stay sideways forever, because if this does start popping up, to give an example, it's going to finally give us another run. You ever noticed if you get up at, I don't know, I don't get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, but let's just say that you were. Do you notice how slow it can actually be? Because I've got this running at 20 times normal speed right now, and this is how slow it is. So anytime you're trading, you just got to kind of put up with what's going on. The open of the market with NQ moves like a house of fire. It just absolutely moves continually. All right, let's see if we can get, and if we do get a little short, what we're going to do is we're going to put our stop fairly tight. Okay, let's see if we get a short. It's got to go inside at least the predictor. I hadn't done it yet. See, because I've got it touch -2, which means it has to actually go inside. Touch +2 would mean it would be outside the box. There's a little more movement. See if we get something. We got $206 so far. Now this predictor is active right now unless another one starts drawing. If another one starts drawing, this predictor will no longer be active. Okay, let's see if that happens. It's outside it right now. Now that went actually a little fast. So that predictor evidently didn't see that particular one because it was outside it. So there must be another one already in the process of drawing as far as the algorithms are concerned, because otherwise we wouldn't get it. Okay, let's go ahead and kill this trade and let's look for another one while it's sideways. We got $131. All right, let's see if we can get another one. We're going to go predictor, and we'll do, I like pretty much touch +2 myself on a predictor trade. And we just got one. Now we'd have to put our stop, where at everyone? Just under there. Okay, because we don't want this trade if it takes us out of this little swing right here. Okay, and I've got exit on close on. That fired on that predictor, so let's see what we get here. Let's see, is it because you did not have reverse on that last attempt? Yes. Yeah, that's why it did that. You have to turn on short, enabled, and reverse, and while I was actually teaching and talking, I didn't get that done. Well, we did get another trade. We definitely did get another trade. Now, this is actually like a little bit more sideways type trading, but notice how while it's trading sideways like this, we still racked up a little bit of coin. Okay? I mean, that wouldn't be too shabby for, a couple hours work, right? I mean, you could just turn it off and you're done. But isn't there some really, really, really good trades that'll set up if this breaks? Let me just show you what I personally like to look at. We'll just kill this trade for a minute because I want to show you some ways to look at this chart. What I personally like to do. Let me take this lightning off. We'll take all this off. Okay, so if this breaks here, we want a little thrust, at least a little thrust, a little retrace, and then over. Otherwise, we may want to take this trade right here, right? Okay. Now, we already turned off the predictor. Let me show you how to use like lightning to give an example. PM, long enabled. You don't have to worry about TNB because lightning is not a TNB indicator. Lightning is just simply, if you get a higher low right here and take out this swing, it will fire. How do you put Object Trader next to the chart? I'm not following, Albert. Oh, you mean to where you show it like I've got it here? You just go to right click, strategies, and there's Object Trader. It's in the list. You may have more if you've got other, strategies and everything. Is that what you mean? Okay, you're welcome. Now, watch this. If this meter actually does, see that higher low right there? If this meter does actually turn green with PM, this will fire if that closes above that swing. I'll draw the line and you tell me if it does it. If that closes, it will fire a long trade. or it'll be the one next to it, which is above that red stealth. But that looks to me like a low, a high, and a higher low, doesn't it to you, by one tick? See if we get it. If that closes, we should. We did. Okay? See how lightning works? Now, the one thing about lightning, and while I'm doing this, I'll just get these out of the way just while I'm talking. The lightning, the way it works is once it turns green, it will no longer fire another trade. Now, I don't personally like that because I want the ability to be able to get in another trade. Now, since I have lightning, I'm away from my predictor. Notice one that we don't have yet. We don't have our stealth. So let's see if we can get stealth. Now this will add if we happen to get stealth, a green stealth. Let's see if we get one. So you have to know which tool to pick because notice that power meter's green, right? It tried to go red for just a second. If we get a green stealth, we'll add 3 contracts. Now, while this is in the process of being red right here, you could have actually turned on power meter 2, but see it went green already, so you can't. Okay, now we don't have a green stealth yet. Now keep in mind, stealth is going to be a little bit more of a breakout trade. Okay, if we do happen to get a green stealth, it's going to be somewhere right through this area right here. We'll see where if it fires. If it rolls around, we won't get it. Now what we're going to do with Object Trader, we're going to add a feature to Object Trader that will also take this trade. See where this is a high, a low, and a higher high when that bar closed? You'd be able to add. If it takes out this one here, you'd be able to add. You see what I mean? Now that could be really powerful because sometimes you don't want to start out with 3. Maybe you want to start out with 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4, right? And get your average. Now you can do that manually anyway. Okay, let's just pretend we've only got 1 right now. We'll just sell off all but 1. But if that closes above this, I'll add 1. This is what I intend to add to this. Okay, let's just add 1. See there? Oh, and stealth came on too, so it added 1 also. That's why we went to 3. Notice how stealth went green. Okay, but let's say that I want to add another one if it takes out this swing, as long as we get a higher low. So in other words, a high, a low, higher high, we need a higher low than here, like so, and we want to take out the little swing. Okay, and then we want to add. Let's see, I think, and I'm not sure, but some of those tools work better on different instruments. You know, I think they work really good on all the instruments myself. But you do have to know how to use them, you know, and that's one thing these webinars are for. All right, if this closes, I'm going to add 1, just like we will do with the new feature. I may even make it to where you can touch it and add it if you want. You know, we'll just look at it. Okay, let's add, just for the fun of it. All right, we're going to bring our stop just under here. High, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high. That's my secondary swing. Everybody see how to do that? Now, when you get a thrust like this, like that, you do not have to, you know, stay in all those contracts if you don't want to. Because if this does any kind of pullback at all, you really see how that's doing a little hanging Chad type candle. I usually, when it does that, would more than likely take off some. I'll watch this bar. See, it's got a little swing right here. And just in case, we don't want to go all the way back down to here with 4 contracts. See there? I'd take 3 off, okay? And then I would just simply add them back. Like stealth, to give an example. Okay? And there's a pretty good stealth. See, it's trying to come down to here is what it's trying to do. If it doesn't, we'll go ahead and add again anyway. See if we can get one. We'll go ahead and turn that on, and this should do an ABC now. That's what they normally will do. We'll find out here in just a second. Matter of fact, I'm going to make it do an ABC. I don't like to just jump in like that. Whoop, I did accidentally. That's all right. Let's see if we can get an ABC. See what I'm doing here? Now, remember that trade I talked about earlier? Let's just kill this. Let's just pretend you're not even in anything just yet. Anybody see a trade on this chart? Wouldn't that be a very, very decent trade if it comes down and kisses that line? Don't you think? Let's see if we get it. We've got an A, we got a B. Let's see if we can get a C. Not yet. I want it right here, actually, instead. But if it doesn't come there, it's got to swing here and here. That's good. I just missed it. Everybody see why I just missed that? Came within a tick of my line instead. I've got it going about 30 times, so I just missed it. I just missed it. That's all there is to it. All right, so let's wait and see and use our tools again. All right, I'm not going to chase this trade though. Okay, now if you do chase it, what I would personally do is go ahead and buy it right here. See where it's trying to take out that little lightning swing right there with a closed bar, and then I would put my stop right under there. That's the only way I'd chase a trade like that if it did break lightning. Now lightning's going to stay green, so we would have never gotten that trade with lightning. Okay, see how to use the tools? You know, you can make up your mind in real time how to do this. Now, where do you think the next trade is on this chart? Anyone? Because you should already be able to see it, because they show you in real time. Okay, let me show you where I think it'll be. Let's close this out. We're not trying to make money as much. I want to show you how to get these trades and how to use the tools. All right, you got a swing right here. What do you think it'll do? It'll thrust up. We could have taken it, obviously, but what I'm going to show you is how to take a retracement type trade, because they'll usually go ahead and pull back to these little areas where they break out, don't you think? See if it will. Retracement trade. All right, we got mid-band right here, right now, right? Mid-band, if this keeps going, see, mid-band will actually start stepping up. We're getting a little pullback right now, right? Little pullback, not quite. Not quite. And of course, you don't want to just take these trades when they've already thrusted, right? Because we've already gotten some great trades and everything. What I want to show you how to do, though, is get these nice retracement trades, like Charles was talking about, into mid-band, and how to trade them with regions. We didn't talk about rays tonight, but we'll use mainly stealth lightning predictor and regions today. Always look to the left to trade the right. There is a swing right there at 911.75. So we're really, really close to that. Notice this says 0. That's because it's got so many digits. No big deal. All right, let's do a region like Charles likes. I'm going to set up a region. Now, we would only go for longs, right? So here's the way I would do something like this one. And we're going to see if we can get down to our little swing that we drew our line at. All right? And there's two ways to trade this too. You can actually go, for instance, like, say, one contract, draw your region, bring it down. That's where I think it should hit its head, is at mid-band. But that's also because that is a swing across here. Okay? You got this little swing here at 975, and you got these others right down here. Okay? But that's below mid-band, and they've already checked those. See there? They've already checked that. So I look to the left again to see another swing, and it looks to me like right across here. Okay? So I'm going to set a touch plus 2. How do you activate the region box? The beauty of that is it's active to begin with when you put it on the chart. Okay, now I got a little trade right here. This is a little more aggressive than I like. I wanted mid-band, but I did turn on both, so we'll take it. All right. And by the way, if you use touch, keep in mind that with touch, as many times as it touches that region, it will keep firing that trade. Because for some reason, he doesn't have the this where it shuts off. See there, I've got a total of 10 now. That's something you want to really watch, okay, until we can get that fixed. Because with this staying on, this will fire trades until you max out. Okay, and I've got my max contract set at 10. Okay, so that's something I wanted to show you tonight too, because, today, that if you do use a touch type on region, if this doesn't shut off, that it'll fire as many contracts as you've got, because technically there's a lot of orders in there that are ticking right at the top of that range, because they know where these support levels are. They know where this next support level is, like right across here. See it right there? That's where I think they'll bounce, because they haven't checked it yet. Okay, so if you get into 10 or something like that, what I would highly recommend doing would be get rid of some of them. Okay, and keep this off of touch. Use close instead until we get that actually taken care of. Okay, but you won't be able to get your little inside trade until we get that taken care of. If this closes outside here but has to touch the box, then we'll get those extra contracts. Okay, did that make sense to everyone? Yeah, that's one little glitch right there that definitely does have to be addressed, because I want this, even when it's on touch, for this to go off. If I want to touch it again, I can turn it on, but I don't want it to stay on, because again, it'll max out those contracts. If you've got your max contract set to 3, it'll never go above 3. But with mine being set to 10, it would max those out at 10. And, you know, have you ever had a 10 contract trade go against you? It's not pleasant. So be very, very careful with that when it's on touch like that. I think that what causes it, and I've talked to him about it, I think it's when someone has actually done one of these other buttons here before that, but he will address that. Okay? Because like I say with 10, watch our money disappear. I'll just let it disappear. Show you what you don't want to do. If it comes down to that bottom of that box, we're going to be down. We're going to be red. And then if it blows through mid-band, we're going to be real red. You see what I mean? So be careful with that particular item until we do get that squared away. Okay? If I've ever seen this on my own, I quickly get out of some contracts, because unless they're obviously above my entry, I might stick with it for a minute. But see, that's 6 ticks under it now. And with 10 contracts, that's a lot. Okay? That's a lot of money. Okay? All right. So that's one of the little deals on Object Trader region that will have to be addressed. And it is one of the things on my list. I have mentioned it in webinars several times, and basically also said that this particular version is a little bit more of a beta, because we've got things being done to it as we speak. The real-time lightning will be added, the stealth. I want this stealth to where you could actually, let's say if you were watching this, let's find another area. See if I can find one that, yeah, like even right here, to give an example. You know, this was a pretty good one to jump into, the second one to begin with, but what if this would have just gone straight up? I want to be able to change that stealth on the fly so that I can actually make that bar, tag it, and then take the trade. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we get that done. All right, well, we got 10, and we're feeling some heat on it, so let's just let it feel some heat. I want to show you what not to do. See there? It's trying to check that other level. 10 contracts will hurt you if it goes against you. Now, we may luck out on this one. We'll find out here, and may not. You see that? Suresh, that's really important. See there, now you're negative. Okay. Now I probably wouldn't let it go a whole lot deeper than that right there, because you'd be looking at this in real time and go, whoa, wait a minute. I'm down $200. What's the deal? Okay. Well, now I'm back up, so it looks like I'm good to go. But you would have put your stop just under mid-band, obviously. Okay. But notice how quickly it adds, though. It's amazing how fast you can make money when it adds. But it can sure take it from you when it doesn't. So always be very, very sure of your trade before you ever let it max out your contracts. Now, like I said, if you've got your max contracts at 3 or 2 or even 4, that's not as big of a deal, but for this to actually touch here and get me to 10 in a heartbeat, what if you had that set on this strategy right here for 20 instead of 10? Well, it would do 20. If you had it set for 100, it would do 100. So, make sure this is set to the max you're willing to take. Okay, that looks like it worked out. But anyway, now, what would you do? Let's slow this down a little bit. What would you do in the case that you're at right now? Anybody? You know where your next trade is? Because you really need to know. Looking for longs, absolutely. Looking for longs only. But you're looking for a level, right? You're looking for mid-band. That's very, very good. And that's your best trade rather than those little retracements. So let's draw a line at mid-band. And lo and behold, you got a swing. So more than likely, that's going to be a decent trade. Everybody see that? They haven't checked it yet. So let's put a line right there. Now, could we be ready to take this trade? Which do you want to do it with? Which tool? You're thinking like real fast. What tool do I really want to do this with? You want to do a region? This is about where we open the market, so that would be a pretty decent little region, wouldn't it? So let's do that. Let's do a region. We're going to turn this off though. We're going to set our region. Notice region will pop right in where the prices are. That's why you don't want these on yet, okay? Because that would fire trade automatically if you had it on. But we know where our trade is, like right down here, close to mid-band, right? That's where I'd be looking for it. See if we can get one. Now, if you have both these on, obviously it's going to fire if you touched above it +2, and I don't want that trade. I want more of this retracement. See, anytime they thrust up, see the swing across here? They thrust up, they pull back. They pull right back into this line amazingly, right? Because they hadn't checked it yet. Okay? So they thrust up again. Where do you think they'll pull back? Right in that area right there. Let's see why you do not the region in mid-band. Let's see, general question, why region versus market order at mid-band with 10-tick stop? You could do that also, Adam. What I'm trying to show right now, though, is a little bit more how to use the tools, too, because I think they can be really important for us. And truthfully, the way this is doing right now, I'd probably would have already gotten that little predictor trade for 10 ticks anyway. You see what I mean? Because this came within 2 ticks of that, and I usually like that trade because it looks like it'll come up to here to me and possibly even here. So that can be a decent little scalp trade, but we've already missed it. But yeah, you can actually just have bar close on. The reasons that we use at the open of the market, I think are really good because you don't get, against the trend. A 10-tick stop, to give an example, let's say that you have 3 contracts on oil. Well, what's a 10-tick stop on oil with 3 contracts? It's $300, right? Exactly. So with that being $300, what if you did that twice and now you're down 6? But you are right about, I mean, absolutely right about one thing. If you look for the area that they should pull back into, see there's a swing right there, and then there's a right there. So basically this is like a sweet spot right here, right? Like so. And by the way, you can move this region live on the chart and it will not fire. But if I did move it, let's say that I moved it like this instead, if it goes 2 ticks inside that box right now, it will fire. Okay? If I move it quickly before it does, it won't fire. You see what I mean? Because this box is actually live on that chart and it knows. You want to see what I'm talking about? I'll just do touch. We'll make it fire. If that goes, see there? See how that fired? Now, you might not want that, right? But that box is active on that chart. This is where we want the trade, right down here. And I'd be looking for touch +2, and we'll get in a trade. I love the way we did the new region, though, where it will fire automatically if you want it to. I just want it to turn off every single time because I don't want my region box to stay on. I want to have to turn this back on each and every time. Okay, we're going to see if we can get a little trade. This will be using region right here. Okay, little region trade. And now that it's inside the box, I can go ahead and turn on the outside the box also. And we'll turn off the inside so it doesn't refire. Okay, and if it comes outside my box, and I may even adjust my box because I'll look for a little, basically a little lightning. You can do that also. Let's see, also, because if it barrels through and goes the other way, you're not filled. That's exactly right. That is true. Because, for instance, if I set that for touch +2 and it just barreled through that box at the open of the market, it shouldn't fire the trade. But all it has to do is get within 2 ticks and tick back the other direction. It will fire. So, that's not much because, every bar pretty much fires several times. You can watch them. They'll just keep firing and firing as they tick, tick, tick. But that is a very, very good observation because that's what they do. Okay? Anybody have any questions on how to use the region trade so far? Or the predictor? Now, if I wanted to use predictor even right here, okay? Let's just use a predictor for the fun of it. Whoop. All right, we're at a predictor. I'm going to put it on predictor trade. And we'll even go with the bottom of the predictor if it touches it. -2. Yeah, it'd be -2 to be inside it. We'll see if we can get that. -2, let me think. Would that be? That's a little tougher to figure. I got to get him to do this to where I don't have to figure it out as I'm trading because, it's like, what am I supposed to do here with minus or plus? But we also have it for right here too with touch +2. Now, what I personally like really well is lightning because right now I'm seeing this. That's all we've got, right? But what if it does a little lightning or takes out resistance even? That's when I like that trade too. Now keep in mind, lightning will never fire unless you get a low, a high, and a higher low. If these bars just keep going straight up, lightning will never fire until it takes out a previous swing to the left. It's not looking at the right then because it's never getting that zigzag. And that's something that I want. Now we may even put some algorithms into it to where it'll fire it anyway. For instance, we want 2 bars side by side. Let's say if this bar went like this, thrust and then closed down and got you a higher low, we want to fire the trade here. So why not fire it 8 ticks up anyway? Could do that. Wow, this is slow. I'll speed it up a little bit. Now if that closes, we'll get a higher low. We'll see. Didn't close. So you got to have one that closes down. Otherwise, that's nothing but bars up. It did go ahead and fire, though. Good deal. Oh, that's the predictor. That's the predictor that fired. Yep. Not lightning. We're not on lightning. See how predictor fired right here? So we were touch -2. So what it did is it actually fired 2 ticks inside the predictor. And we got us a trade. Now, when you're starting to go sideways like this, what does everybody do? You got to start, anytime you're with your yellow bars, you got to use your lightning as your stop, because you can get in several other trades. Let me show you what I like to personally do. And I call this out in the room too. I don't mind taking trades for all the gusto they'll give, but see that power meter's green? I've got 7 on, so I've got 4 on now. So if this lightning goes, whoop, I had bar close instead. Let's turn on lightning 2 instead. There we go. This will get us out of the trade completely if that goes red. Okay? Which so far it has not gone red. And you could also even do it with predictor if you wanted to. It looks like we may hold on it. We'll see. May lucked out on it. You ever notice though when they thrust? We've talked about this in the room 100 times too. When they take out these tops, see how they just barely took out that top and then they pumped right back below it? You can even get out right there if you want to. We missed the lightning 1. That's where I wanted out of it. Now I will turn on lightning 1. If it goes red, I'll be out of the trade. Got a high, a low, lower high by 1 tick. Should fire there. If it closes, there you are. You're out. You're flat. See how you can get out of those like that? Now, you would have gotten out way back here. Could have gotten back in at predictor, back out on lightning on your runner. Okay? Everybody see how to use those little tools and everything that we got? They're really pretty cool. You know, because you can do quite well with the way we set this thing up. You just got to basically know what you're doing on the chart. Where are we going right now? Anybody? Mid-band again? Let's look to the left to trade the right. Let's see if we can figure it out. Okay, we're going to draw some lines. They already tested that one, right? So where's our next one? We've got to swing right here. See which one's closest to mid-band. That's closest to mid-band. And you got to swing right across. They've already taken that one, and that one. And they're really taking this one. So this is my sweet spot right here. Everybody see that? So see, they've already checked that one. Now they could check it again, obviously, right? But this is the sweet spot right here that I'm looking at. So you want to do like a little region trade? Or which one do you really want to do on this particular trade? Because you got to make up your mind quickly, because the trade's already set up. Came right into our little box, our little sweet spot. Anybody? Let's use power meter 1. Or you want to just take the trade yet, or what do you think? Let it ride a little bit? We'll let it ride. We'll try to get at least down to mid-band before we take the trade. Just missed a decent trade for at least a scalp, but let's see if we can get down to mid-band. Also draw your trend line too. That's pretty much at mid-band or in through here, isn't it? See if we can get that trade. Okay, you have a low, a high, higher low so far. If it takes this out, that'll start to count over if it closes. Okay, now you start over. Now you've got a low. Higher low, not yet, because you haven't had a bar close down. If we get a bar close down, we should be able to get a lightning trade. Well, that's right at mid-band. I'd be punching the button already. I like that trade right there. Now, could you actually box it in? If you box it in, this is your box, right? See there? Well, lightning fired exactly where the region would have been anyway. But where would your stop be on this trade? Just underneath that swing, right? And always if you, oops, I moved my stop instead accidentally. If you wanted to stay in this trade for like a gusto, to give an example, you want to put your stop for your runner just under the swing. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing like multiples like 4s and 8s and all that, because you get these sideways movements. They come back down and check them. Okay. Let's see if we can get another trade. Let's look to the left and trade the right. Need a thrust and a pullback. Okay, it's already been to mid-band, so let's see where we think it's going to go next. I'm going to get rid of all the lines on the chart. It has not tested here. Looking to the left to trade the right, and has not checked right there. Everybody see that? See your little bounce off of it? Hasn't checked here yet either, though. Let's see if we can get that one. See it check my swing. And I would also obviously put my stop right there. Okay, see what I did there? I looked to the left to trade the right. Also, that's at a little predictor. Now, what if I wanted to do a region here? Okay, let's kill this trade. And let's do, like Charles talks about, like a region. Let's do a region. We'll do this. You can clearly see that your swing is right here. You'd probably want to do your region about like that. And I'd probably do my region down at mid-band for a touch +2, or a touch +2 out of it. There you go, just got it. And then I'd turn that off. We're going to have that automatically turn off, because see how that's touching inside again? You don't want that to fire, and it already did it. See, when that did that little thrust, it oscillated around the top of that, and that's got to be addressed. I've talked about it several times, and it is being addressed, but we got to get that one fixed. That's why the max quantity is so important in this thing. Okay? Now, we've gone through almost an hour on a webinar. I want everybody else in this room to pick the next trade for me. Where do you think it is? Anybody? Can you tell? What do you think? It's got to thrust up and pull back, right? How about mid-band again? Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's see if we can figure it out. I want everybody, though, I'm not going to show you. I'm going to let you figure it out, because you really need to know where that next trade is so you can be set up and ready to roll. And predictor will really help you out on that, and mid-band. Okay, now I see by looking at my chart over here, I draw lines in my mind or whatever. Now see, they've almost checked this swing here, so I don't think they're going that low. Everybody see it? So let's look to the left to trade the right. Ooh, there's one at mid-band. Wouldn't that be a sweet spot for me? There's another one right here that they pretty much checked it on that one, but we'll draw a line there anyway. But see, they've already checked that. See that thrust up and pull back? You know, when they check within even a tick or two, they've already pretty much checked it. So I don't consider that they'll come down that low again. And I'd also have to take out my swing here. See this high, low, higher, high? So I think they'll check right there. So to be ready to trade that, we just simply do that. Move it. We'll wait for it to come inside the box and see if we can get that trade. Everybody agreed with that, right? See how you draw on your charts and you can tell where they've been? Now on a 4-range chart, it's a little harder to tell than a Renko, but with a Renko, you can't really see the swings as well. So it's kind of a catch-22, you know, for great trades like that. I personally still like the 4-range because I can see those swings. And the a priori numbers are absolutely the best to see. There's no question about that. Okay? It's got to come down at least to that area. Otherwise, we're doing what? We're chasing a trade. We don't want to chase a trade. See if we can get it. That looks like it's retracing a little bit. Predictor says right here, like so, but it's already checked that. See there? But it has not checked this one. And it has not checked looking to the left to trade the right again. We can't take this out right here. So we know they're not going to go down that low. So I'll go with mid-band. Now keep in mind that until this actually starts to go back the other direction, we don't know if it's going to head up like a big dog and just keep going. Okay? But if you were in a trade, I'd be watching this lightning. And let's just pretend you're in this trade, and let's see if you know when to get out of this trade, because you don't have to go all the way down to mid-band or a swing like this. Okay? Because you can get it back in a trade. Will region work on Renko? Yes. Now that little swing right there, high, low, higher, high, it's checked it, but let's look at this one. It hadn't checked that one. So let's move our little box. And let's see if we can get it. Now also keep in mind one thing too, when this lightning actually changes to red, you could take the opposite trade when it goes back to green. I like the PM meter trades. The only time I don't like them is when bars just go straight up or straight down, because you don't get lightning. And without lightning, you won't get a trade. See, there's a power meter red. So you could choose which way you want to do this. It must have been a high energy time on Friday or something. No, that was Thursday, wasn't it? All right. But see how you have opportunity after opportunity? You know, with your power meter red, you could actually take a green power meter. You could take a predictor trade. You could take a mid-band trade. See what I mean? So let's say, for instance, that you decide to get in on power meter. Let's just see if we get a power meter trade. We'll just do one if we do. No power meter yet. Now that I would not take a power meter because you're right at support resistance. But let's just leave it on, and let's just say you do get involved in a trade like this. If it goes green. Because your best trade, see there? Now see how that's a breakout trade? That trade's going to cost you. You can already tell. See there? See what they do? The market just does that. All right, our trade is right down here. Like that. See that little high, low, higher, low, lower high. So they're going to do an ABC, and they could even check as low as right there. So this is our sweet spot. That's why you don't really want to do little breakout trades above mid-band. Because see, when you break out and you've got resistance, look where that got that lightning trade. That'll eat you up. Okay? Where you want this trade is all the way into this sweet spot. And if you even want to fire a market order when it gets there, that's fine. You know, but I do like using the tools on that. Let's see if we can get a trade. Now we're feeling heat on that trade right there. You'd probably want to just take it off the table, right? Because your best trade is always going to be a good retracement and not near a resistance level on the long, to give an example. Because on this resistance level right here, you know, when you were already up here when lightning fired, there's no way that trade could work out. Okay, unless it just literally just blew up to the top. Okay, now usually when you're in a trade like this, you would have already done this. Okay. Okay, now when you're up like this, it's not a big deal on one contract. There's our trade, by the way. I'd do 2. See it right there? I'd put a stop just under predictor, like so. And let's just see if this trade works out. And by the way, if you're in 2 like right now, let's just get this out of the way while I teach. What if you wanted to do a power meter and add? Turn it on. See, because if it's red, it'll add on green. What if I wanted to do a stealth instead? Well, you could do a stealth instead too. Keep in mind, stealth will usually, as a rule though, get you in because it's more of a little breakout, right? Because it's really looking at that momentum, and that's pretty much a thrust. And if you do a stealth type trade, I highly recommend using the swing that you can see. Like I've got that line drawn on that swing right there. Let's just do this and see if this works the way I think it might, because I see this all the time. If you were to add on stealth instead, like so, if stealth does turn green, okay, if stealth does turn green, then more than likely you're going to be a little bit of a breakout trade, and you would have to put your stop under the swing. Watch and see if that doesn't happen. We'll just close this out. This looks like a pretty good bounce. Let's see if stealth fires. Now stealth will fire a little bit before you'll see it. That's pretty close. Still haven't gotten stealth yet. Are we going to get a stealth? We'll find out. Everybody see what I'm talking about stealth? There you go. Okay, you just got your stealth. But keep in mind, if I got this stealth like this, where's my stop have to be on this trade? Unfortunately, it has to be right under there. That's 23 ticks. Right? If you want to see if you can get a gusto trade, that is, because what is this doing so far? Well, draw your lightning 3 and you'll see. Let me draw it. Get out of there. There we go. All right, that's your lightning right there. All right. You want to see if it even works out just for the fun of it, because we're almost out of time? I'll leave that at that lightning 3, and we'll just see. See, that's lightning 3. It'll draw here if this goes up enough. It did. It drew there. See your lightning 3, high or low? You could raise it to your next lightning 3. Higher lows and higher highs, right? That's what stealth will get you, though. See how it literally got you in, you know, quite a bit higher and everything. If you do that, you pretty much have to put your stop with the identified swing. Watch and see if this one doesn't identify, or this one here, and then this one. Let's see. Well, it identified here. That's for the longer term. Should identify here next. Just did. See that? There you go. All right. See, that's one way. Now this may get us here because this looks like pretty close to the afternoon. Well, that was close. It did get us finally. All right. Now notice how when lightning 3 is taken out like that right there, you still had another trade here with lightning 1 if you wanted to get back in this trade at 1:18 in the afternoon, because it looks like it's still heading up. But notice how that more of a liberal stop actually helped me in this trade until it actually took out lightning 3 right through here. And I had that going at 500 times, so it was pretty quick. But could you be back in this trade again? Well, even if you decided to just buy above this swing, let's just say you did. All right, let's get this out of the way. Wouldn't you have to pretty much trust this swing right here that they just made when they took that out? Like so? Wouldn't you have to trust that? That's where your swing's at, so let's see if that works. Just for the fun of it. That's a little bit more of a stealth or breakout trade again. Should get us another high, which will establish this low. Lightning swings there. And it looks like I'm not out of data. Thought I was, but it must be, oh, it's quitting time, duh. Then it starts back up. See how lightning's right there now? That's if you want to hold for these really gusto type runs. Okay? Because you can do that. Notice that if you did this, you wouldn't be taking it out at mid-band. Notice how you had a high here, a low here, and a high here. Well, this was the same high, so notice how they took that low out. But it was still higher than this one. Okay? But you'd have to keep your stop, pretty liberal to do that. For instance, your stop would be right here right now. That's clear down at Phantom. But look at this monster move that 6J did. See what I mean? But also showed you today how you could take every single one of these trades if you wanted to. Predictors, lightning trades, right? All over the place, you've got these nice little trades, and you can draw on your chart in real time and see where that next trade is. Okay? Now that's like what, 1949 on Thursday night? I guess that was Thursday night, pretty sure. There's you another swing. All right. That's your swing right there. We're flat, but let's just check something just for the fun of it. I like to watch and see when they'll change directions too. They take that out, they're pretty much changing. Look at that. See there? Change directions. But it's still not. Look at that right there. Now I'd probably be buying that because see, that's support. See why I bought that? High, low, higher, high, like an ABC Gartley, and then they check the lightning swing. And we got us a nice little trade right off the bottom. Remember how we talked on Friday, how oil, or one of them just literally, we had a line drawn and everything and said it's going to bounce there? Well, look what it does when it does bounce there. And that was a red background and everything, but you could clearly see that this is still pretty much an uptrend, isn't it? Doesn't mean you can't take this trade. Here's lightning, thrust, retrace, lower high, breaks this area right here. Could you short this? Yes, because you have a high, a low, lower high, and it breaks a channel. And yes, you could short that, even with that green background. You could have shorted here. High, low, lower high, break. See that? Okay. And to use our tools and everything will make a huge difference in the way we all do things. Look at this one right here. I missed it, but see the predictor? See where it came right into resistance? I got it a little bit late, but I'll bet I still get the trade. There you go. Why did I get that? Because even though my big lightning is heading up, whoa, look at that thing. Even though my big lightning is heading up, I was also trading little lightning. And that's why you can use these PM tools, the predictor tools, the stealth, and your regions. And bar close is not too bad either. I got this thing going way too fast to trade it 500 times. Okay? Look at those predictors work out. Just look at that again, a predictor working out. Boxed in. Let's see if you can box in again. Short again, under. That's going a little fast. Long above, right? Now, like I said, that'd be almost impossible to trade, but can you see the little boxes that you could have drawn, though? You had a low, you had a high, you had a higher low right here. When did this actually change trends? And then when did it kiss it again? And could you get that trade? Yes. Right? See there? And it even bounces right off predictors, gives you other trades. I got it, like I say, going way too fast to trade, but you can see it doing it in real time. Okay? Use the tools. I think you'll be amazed at them. They actually work. We use them every day in the room, and we're going to keep adding to Viper so that you can get some of these great trades and even add to your trades. For instance, predictor trade. Wouldn't you love to have an extra contract here, right? An extra contract here. Rack up some quick coin. Do it again here. Do it again here. See what I mean? And just keep adding with lightning. And if it takes lightning out, see, there's your lightning right there. If it takes it out, then you don't want to be with that trade. See, it held, held, held. Now there's your lightning. We're going to go over Monday night, by the way, a really good webinar about identified lightning. How can you tell when lightning is totally identified on your chart? Because identified lightning is the only way to trade. You can't do it until it's identified. There are 4 trends on your charts, and you can trade them all 4. Now, obviously, you couldn't trade 500 times. This is like NASDAQ at the open of the market. Okay? Anybody have any questions before we wrap? Predictors are awesome. They really are. Yeah, and you'll find usually that when they break a predictor, they'll usually head the other direction too. Now, this is at the close of the market on Friday, so, you know. But yeah, these predictors are really, really good. And even with this chop like this, though, couldn't a person make some coin? Mid-bands, buys, stuff like that. And always look to the left to trade the right. You know, when you're trading like this, let's say, for instance, that you bought a mid-band trade without even seeing this. Couldn't you clearly see if you bought this mid-band trade that you're really only trying to get up to here? And they do that, and then they roll over, then they do it again. See what I mean? That way you don't have to stay in a trade unless you want to when it's going sideways. Now, the overall trend on this has been up until it took out this swing right through here. See it? High, low, higher, high. Took that out. Could you box that and take that trade? That's the way we teach it. Let's see, do the color of the predictors mean anything? Yes, James, they do. What the predictors do is when you have a green background, pardon me, not a green background, but mid-band. Let me get rid of all this and I'll show you and then we'll wrap. Bear with me 1 second. Get rid of all this. Okay, when you have the mid-band that is any of the long colors, now your long colors start out, this is an uptrend, this one here that's the lime green, that just means uptrend. The blue means session high. Okay, so in other words, if you looked at, you know, this was the session right here, like so. Well, when this turned blue, if you draw you another line, you'll see that it was actually when it took out that high. Okay, so what that's doing is telling you that it's taken out the session high. So if it stays blue like that, it's a strong uptrend. Okay, now when you run out of an uptrend, you'll actually either crater it like it did here, and you could have shorted this. But see how then you go yellow, and then magenta, and then red? Well, when they're any of the three colors of long, they're green predictors and blue predictors. When it goes to the magenta, the red, or the rose color, they're white and magenta predictors. There's still really good support and resistance areas, though, that you can trade either direction. Okay, but the best way to trade them is, for instance, with a red background, red midband, you're looking for that predictor trade. Okay, if it doesn't take out the low with a vengeance, you want to always watch for these trades like this that barely take out lows, like that. They're usually trend changes. Okay, the way you would want to trade this, if it, let's say for instance this had done this instead, then you would have wanted this trade, because guess where it would have gone in real time? It would have gone like that, and that would have been a mid-band, because this would have headed down, and you would be getting a mid-band trade for a rollover. But it didn't do that because it barely took out the low. Anytime they barely take out these lows, they're going to, usually you could turn lightning on and actually get this trade possibly in through here when the bar closes above the little swing. Okay. And lightning, you can use a lot of times on that chart. When I get real-time lightning on this, I want this to actually turn green and then go to a neutral color when the trade fires, and then go green again when it fires another one. That's what I want it to do. Because when it goes green and stays green, you can't get a PM trade unless you go the opposite direction. Okay, any questions on anything? Let's see, Gary, when I take a stealth, I put my stop on opposite color. You can do that. Matter of fact, Suresh, what he's saying is when he takes a, let's go back over here, for instance. Let's say that you take this trade right back here with stealth, okay? He actually puts his stop with an opposite color. So if it turns opposite color, he's out. And then I guess if he gets back in, he'd wait for an opposite color. That one might have worked, might not have. In, out on opposite color, in again, out on opposite color. So that would definitely pay off. And we could even add that to Object Trader. I think the way it does, though, right now is that if it gets below stealth with a close, it would close the trade out. But yeah, we could add that where it just goes for an opposite stealth if you wanted. Stop red for long, yeah. It'll keep you in some of these monster trades and then get back in. All right, everyone, thanks. I hope you enjoyed it. It ran a little bit longer than I thought, but we're adding these object types and everything so we can all make money. Regions, bar close. We've even got bar close now where you can actually add contracts by just turning on long auto. I mean, if you turn on bar close, turn on long and auto, and maybe use a Renko chart to give an example. Look at some of these trades here. Let's just say that somehow you had seen this at midnight and you had gotten this trade. You could actually start with one contract, 2, 3, 4. If that was your max, it would stop 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you're in 10 contracts. You monster that thing, you get out. See what I mean? That would give you so much coin you wouldn't even believe it if you turned that feature on. Okay, but you got to be careful turning this feature on unless you know what you're doing. And I wouldn't personally do it on 2 range bars. I would do it on a lot larger bar, like around a 6, a rollover of probably at least 8. Whoop, did 5. And that way you're not getting in, just bunches and bunches of bars. Because with like 4 range bars, it would add on every single bar, and that could hurt. Okay. Let's see here. Just to give an example, that trade that was right. It's hard to see on it, unfortunately, because you'd have to draw trend lines and things like that. But that was pretty much that trade right through there. Okay. It'd be nice to have larger bars, but be able to see our swings and everything. But unfortunately, you can't get the both worlds like that. It just doesn't work. And I don't like this larger bars myself because you miss too many good trades. Okay, thanks everyone. You can also just use bar close. I do this a lot of times too. If I saw this with a, like even a 4 range and I started seeing bars going down, you can always turn this on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, and add contracts. Or you can just watch the bars, and if they close, just hit sell, sell, sell until you get to the amount you want to carry. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you on Monday morning. Adios. Anybody needs any help this afternoon, I'll be around. It's raining here, so I'll be at the computer. Jack, on your question, I'll tell you what, table that one until Monday. Jack wants to know how to explain more about how a previous swing has not been checked yet. I'll show you that on Monday night because we're going to talk about identified swings, and that's the way I see those. Okay? We'll see everybody on Monday morning. Thanks.